All right, everybody. Today, you're getting a real treat because we are going to be making some African oxtail. That's right, I said it, African oxtail. Now this recipe was really inspired by our trip to Africa. We went down to Africa and they had oxtail on the menu. And I took one look at that and I said, I can do that. And so this is what we're bringing you today. Right here, I've got some celery, some carrots, some potatoes. If you've got your recipe with you, you can follow along. I just threw all the ingredients together and I'm just letting this blend a little bit, marinating it, kind of getting all the flavors together. So you'll see that on the recipe. It's just your vegetables with all the ingredients on it. For the actual oxtails, we've got some really simple ingredients here. We've got water, vegetable oil, olive oil is what I usually use, some of the soy sauce, and of course my beefless base. Beefless base is probably one of the best flavoring agents you have that's all vegan out there, and it just tastes fabulous. And we'll give this a little blend here, kind of melting those ingredients, and see how it's still sticking together here? This is why you have to kind of do it a little bit, let it rest, and come back. So that's our wet ingredients. This is nice because when you got wet ingredients, dry ingredients, you put them together, done deal. A few little concepts here you got to learn, but we've got our Vital Wheat gluten flour and almond flour. And then I've got some chili powder, of course my garlic and onion, and then some salt. So realistically, this does not have a bunch of complicated ingredients. It really doesn't. Very simple. This is a very, very simple recipe to produce. I'm going to give this a little mix. I like mixing this together so you don't get big clumps of the gluten right off the bat. And so that's why I mix this together. Okay, a couple more ingredients that we're working with today is the jackfruit right here. I boiled this off still a little steaming hot. I've cooled it down quite a bit, but this is the jackfruit, and you can see the texture in it. It's just like kind of a meaty texture. There are some little seeds, little pods that are in here like that. I don't worry about that. I used to pull them out to make everything so perfect, but you know, I just put them in there. So, in fact, what we'll do with this, let me share with you what we're going to do with this real quick. Since I'm on the table here, let's do it. We'll just put all these out here, and I'll use some gloves here today, because I'm going to make a mess anyway. Oh, I should have invested in gloves years ago. Boy, they're making a ton of money nowadays. Yep, gloves and hand sanitizers and anything for paranoia. And if people just learn how to wash their hands, they wouldn't have the problems they have today. Okay, what you do is you take these and you smash them like this. And you're smashing the actual pointed part, that core area, because that's what needs to get smashed. And so we just take every one of these and smash them down, and then it breaks up easy. That's the nice part about this. It breaks up nice and easy after you smash it like that. And so we're going to just give them all a nice little, whoop, see that one's a little firm, so I'm going to come in there a little bit more and get all these smashed down. And then if you want, you can kind of chop it up a little bit like this. Okay, now one thing I definitely want to do with this is squeeze the juice out of it. So let me do this. We're going to have this bowl as our base. So let me squeeze the juice out of this. See how much moisture is in there? I don't need all that, because I want this thing to be a good binding element. By the way, this is 1 can of jackfruit. They're about a 20-ounce can. Make sure you get the one that's in brine, not in syrup. There's one out there that's in syrup, and it's pretty good, like a dessert type of thing. And but I just have not seen a way to do that. I've tried it. It tastes okay, but I just haven't had time to come up with some recipes for it. So, okay. We get our mess cleaned up here. And then our second item here is going to be our cooked shredded mushrooms. So these are our cooked shredded mushrooms right here. And I've already got them cooked. These are the king oyster mushrooms. Now the king oyster mushrooms, you can get at the Asian food stores. They're readily available, or most health markets. It's a health thing. A lot of the health markets carry it. If you don't know what they are, let me share this with you real quick here. The king oyster mushrooms, basically you'd have like, this would be your king oyster mushroom. And here's 4 pieces. I cut it in half and cut it in half and then boil it off. So if you haven't seen the video on that, there is a video out there teaching you how to use the king oyster mushrooms in a couple different ways. But once you boil these off for a half hour, let them chill. I throw them in the fridge. And then we're just going to take a fork and shred it. Watch what happens here. Okay. And once you get a first one through, it's kind of like hair. It's like, look at that. It's just not going anywhere. And then you turn around and you hit the other side. You go through light, and then you press down heavier and heavier until you get all the way through it. And that's what you end up with. And look at this, is very strong. I mean, it's very, very tough. So just go through it like this, and it's okay if there's little clumps of meat there, basically, because that's part of the texture. That's why I'm using these multiple things. And so you get it right here, and then you just chop it like this into like 1/2 inch little clumps. And that way it's easier to digest and chew on, and you don't have one long piece of because it's kind of a tough, it has a little toughness to it even when you're eating it. So I'll put these aside. I'll work on that later. Just wanted to show you that real quick. Okay, so we've got our jackfruit and our mushrooms in here. So we can mix those up. And then we're going to add our liquid. Is it melted yet? Got to make sure it's all melted together. So I got one little piece there. Okay, there we go. So we'll put that in. Another thing you can add too, this is caramel color. And I would just put like a drop in there. I wouldn't do much more than that. It will kind of give it a little fun coloring. Don't need to do it. If you don't have the caramel color, don't worry about it. Okay. One thing you can do too is with these mushrooms, you can always roast them. There's a roasted mushroom. I roast these mushrooms. I'm going to do one more drop, just because I am looking for a little bit darker color here. Yeah, the roasted mushrooms are very, very good to use. And you'd put them in the oven. You cut them in half, and then you'd have to give them a little bit of a barbecue sauce. I got a homemade barbecue sauce that I use on them. Yeah, see, now this is getting a darker color, and I like that much better for this particular dish. So I think in my recipe I've got like 1/8 of a teaspoon. So that was probably about 1/8 of a teaspoon right there between the 2 drops. And see the multicolor, very complex, and nuggets of gristle and things like that. Okay, now the next thing we're gonna do is put the dry ingredients in here. This is gonna move pretty quick. We're gonna get this baby in here, and then we're gonna separate it into 6 portions. So let's get this going. And we'll get this mixed in. Takes a little while to get this melted in, is basically what you're doing. And it's going to get thicker and thicker and turn into some clumpiness here. And I'm pressing down with the actual spoon here, because I really want to get the glutens connecting everything. It's like your glue. That's the glue for this baby. And almost ready to use my hands here. Okay. This recipe I've done quite a few times because it just blows people away. I mean, this is probably one of the most amazing recipes you're ever going to find out there. Ever. Okay. So I think I'm going to go to the outside here. I'm going to just spread this out like this. Got a nice log. Okay. Clean up my mess here. Yes, I go through lots of towels. Lots and lots of towels. Okay, now, if we take our 6 items, we're going to cut it in half right here. And then we need a third and a third. And do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so that's pretty good for portions. I think we'll be okay right there. Okay, now the next step. This is a process. So what we're going to do here, let me spray the parchment paper right here. I'm going to start putting things on there. And we're going to use these spring rolls. These spring rolls are found at the Asian stores. You want to put water on the bottom, on the cutting board, and then water on the top. If you don't put the water on the bottom, it's going to stick. And so we just got to let this soak in a little bit. Usually only takes about a minute. Depends how warm your water is. If you use cold water, it takes quite a while. I'm using a little bit warmer water today, so shouldn't take near as long. Okay. Okay. We're going to get this formed into the exact shape of this rice paper. And I'm using the large. I think it's a 9-inch, if I remember right. Don't know if it says on here. Yeah, it doesn't say on there, but I'm pretty sure it's a 9-inch. Okay, and you want to make this tight. You want to make this as tight as you can, and you want to get right to the edges on this. Okay? Okay. Now I need to be able to get this baby started here. Okay, there we go. All right. And we're just going to go like this and woo. Okay, so there's one. Normally what I would do is go ahead and put this on the paper over there. And because that's why I sprayed it, so that it'll hold together over there. Okay. All right. So we're just going to knock out all 6 of these like this. Sometimes I'm doing 2 at a time here, make it even faster. I just don't want to get a bunch of water over there by my product. But we should be fine. Speed up the process a little bit here. My camera guys will probably go fast forward and zip right through all of this. All right, and after you have all 6 of these done, now we're going to do one more wrap. And this wrap, I usually do a double wrap. I usually always, you can do it with one, but you'll see, I just like to do a double. And it makes it look more gristly too, so that's always nice. All right, I'm gonna get some water in between the sheets here. And add some water up here. Just like that. Okay. Then we're going to, I know I got to give it a minute. Don't rush me. Don't cramp my style. And I'm okay. I'm okay taking my time on this one and showing you because these are particular things that you really want to know if you're going to do this one. And out of all the recipes, and I'm going to put this right up here. Out of all the recipes I've done, this one, maybe the chicken fried steak and the ribs. Those are the 3 that people are just, they just can't believe the flavor. That's the top ones, I would say. All right. Now you take all 3 of these and you're bundling them together like this. See how that works? You're bundling them together. And that's why I'm saying this has to really make sure you're the right length. And then we're going to start rolling these. And that's why I really like to have 2 sheets here, because it's much more challenging on this one than anything to do it in one. You can do it in one. I've done it in one before. But 2, see how it just comes together right there? Okay, we're going to roll this again, and boom. Now I've got it here. Okay, so we've got our wrap. In fact, what I need to do here is cut this. You can do 6s, so it'd be 1 here and then 2 there. You can do 4s, so it'd be 1 here and 1 here, which would be really thick pieces. Or you can try to get 5 out of here. 5's a little more challenging to get the consistency of the right things. If I do 4, I'm only going to get 8 pieces though. So I just hate to do that. Let me try to do the 5. There's 1. And wipe this off every time here. Be very careful with this. I got my finger down here. If you haven't noticed, my finger is right down here to hold this baby together so that it's not going to rip. 3 and 4, 5. 4, 5. Okay, not too bad. Pretty consistent, huh? A little challenging to do it that way, but there you go. All right, so we're going to do this, and then we'll do the other one the same way. And then we're just going to set these right back on the sprayed paper there, because I want to make sure that that's not going to be sticking either. So, okay, oh, we got to do one more. Duh. Okay, let me do one more here. Hey. Three, 4, 5. Okay. All right, so we got that going. These have got to rest. I'm going to let you know right now, these have got to rest for a good 10 minutes. Remember, this is done with the Vital Wheat Gluten Flour. And that flour has been aggravated, harassed. That flour has been bothered, and it hasn't had time to rest and set the way it's supposed to. And if you know gluten, sometimes you got to let it rest for 10 minutes. So we're going to let that rest for 10 minutes, clean up a little bit here, and then I'll show you what else needs to be done. Okay, now that these have rested for about 10 minutes, I did a little cleanup here. We've got, this is actually a Salad Master, one of the really good skillets that are out there. I just really like it. It just works. It works for everything. Just an amazing piece of equipment. I've got it set at 425 degrees right now, and we're just heating this baby up. It's an oil core, so it's takes a little while to heat up, but it's a really good item. So okay, and all I want to do is just give it a little test here, see if it's. I hear it. I hear it sizzling. Okay. So these are going to go in here. You can see how sticky they are, and everything's kind of glued together now. So we're just going to put these in here. Hopefully we can get them all to fit. And give it just a little more olive oil around the outside there. You did notice this particular recipe did not have any oil in it except for the little bit that you're frying with here. And what we want to do is just kind of get it fried, get it seared on one side, and then we'll flip it over and hit the other side. Still says it's warming up. It still hasn't hit the temperature yet. Doesn't take much here though. They're kind of sticking a little bit, but that's okay. You get that little, oh, and here's our carrots and potatoes, and this is all ready to go too with all of our different spices in there. That's where you get the flavor, by the way. This one is an African oxtail. That's what the recipe is. There's another one. You can do a Caribbean. If you're gonna do Caribbean, you would add some jalapeno pepper, kick it up a notch like that, and then maybe go with your jerk rubs and get that type of flavor. That's the only two oxtails that I know of. There we go. See, it's just got a nice browning on the bottom. That's all I'm looking for. Got these pretty even too. I like it when they're all pretty evenly cut. Once in a while I've got a short one or a tall one in there, but these look pretty good. I might have a nice little beauty shot with this. Okay. So now we've got it separated like this. Ooh, one more. And I got some crispness on that. And then we get a little crispness on that side. Sucking up the oil, that's for sure. And I don't mind the oil as much with this particular recipe because that's your fat. That's, you know, oxtails have fat in them. And so it will give it that realistic, ooh, wow. But you really don't need the, you can probably bake these. I haven't tried baking them yet, but that might be a good way to go as well. So after the other side is seared, then, and the gluten's tightened up, that's doing good, very good. Then you can start adding all these potatoes and carrots. Put these in all the little crevices. Okay. Now this, I'm going to basically let it come to a boil. Then I'm going to turn it down and let it simmer. Just a little slow simmer for about 45 minutes. 45 minutes to an hour works really good. I'll see how the vegetables are done, but usually 45 minutes does it. Depends how I get the simmer. Usually I'm going to put that simmer at about 175 degrees, 180. Once you go above 180, especially if the lid's on it, man, you're getting into your boiling. And I don't want it boiling, I just want that nice low simmer. And so we'll count it as an hour, because I'll keep it at a very low simmer. Then we'll come back and show you what the finished product looks like. We'll be back. Woo, let me shut this baby off. Okay, I did have to turn this up a little bit. Put it up to 275 degrees. It was a little too low at the other temperature. So, but here you go. Look at that. Look at that. That is amazing, amazing flavor. Now what I'm going to do here is try to get out one piece. Let me just try to get out one piece here. You should let this cool down. You really should let this cool down. Okay. All right. Just like that. This one's falling apart already. Didn't grab it right. But we will show you. Nice and saucy too. I want to show you what this looks like. Take a look at this. You cut through it. It literally has the look. It's got the fatty gristle on the outside. These are going to cool down. And once they cool down, they're going to tighten up. And then I can actually pull them out and separate them and refrigerate them and pull them out as I want. We've done that quite a few times with it. I'll take it over to neighbors and friends' houses, and then we'll just reheat them real fast. And they're just amazing. So look at that. Look how it just looks. And the flavor is so spectacular. There's nothing like it. It has the texture, the flavor, everything. We've had people that have ate oxtail before and have tried this, and they said there's no difference whatsoever. It's just that realistic. So anyway, there's my lunch. Thank you for tuning in with us. Make sure you share these with friends and show them where they can find fantastic recipes that will blow them away. Try this at home. It's once you have your ingredients, it's a pretty easy process. So we'll see you next time, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. That is spectacular.